Hello everybody and welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 3 playthrough extras. So, we've done all the flans, we got everything from the bistro, we got it up to 5 stars, recipe collection is complete and everything got an amazing, excellent rating. So the next stop on our list is the Classic Kingdom. Because, well, why the hell not? It's sort of the other key thing that we have to deal with. So, yes, we're going to go through every single Classic Kingdom minigame. And I will say that this does do my ears in slightly. It was a questionable period of time that I spent recording all of this. Part of me wonders whether it was worth it. But hey, you do get a Keyblade out of doing all of this. And it is quite a it's quite a good Keyblade for classic tone, and it does act very uniquely in comparison to quite a few of the other Keyblades, so it's definitely worth giving it a go. Also, I like how when I did this the first time round, I did quite well. This time I'm having such a nightmare pulling the damn thing off. It's ridiculous. But, hey, doesn't matter. What we're going to do here is I'm going to show off basically how to get a high score on all of these. So, the general gist that you want to go with is if it has stages, then you want to complete at least one stage in order to, get your high score. If it requires you to get a high score, so, get as high a total as possible, and you've got a series of sort of lives, it generally wants you to lose all of those lives in order to sort of classify as getting a high score. So some games you need to game over, some of them you do not. You'll be seeing sort of the difference throughout. So, I would tell you sort of where all of these are, but obviously if you followed the entire playthrough, then you will have seen where I've picked up all of these Classic Kingdom minigames. Certain ones, including like Mickey the Mail Pilot, like the first 4, you find on that notice board in Twilight Town at different intervals throughout the game if you go back. I just didn't do it until right at the end, so obviously I just collected them in the last part when I just happened to be in Twilight Town doing menu stuff. And I have to say, I like the concept of the Classic Kingdom minigames. I think that obviously it is a nice callback to the classic Disney cartoons. It's also a nice callback to the whole, Game & Watch gaming. The kick-started so many of the games that we see today. It's just a really fun thing to go with. Also, I did get confused slightly with the musical farmer here, because basically what you want to do is you want to get the eggs to Mickey and Minnie. I blanked on that one. So I was just like, I just thought I had to just, fill up the box. It's because I didn't read properly. I should have read properly. This is the problem. Read the instructions for these games. Otherwise, it's just going to go really terribly for you. But I will say that you can basically wait quite a while until you actually need to worry about getting the eggs to Mickey and Minnie, at least to get through the first round. Because, really, right now, I could totally win this game, because I've got a box of 5 eggs, a box of 3 eggs, and a box of 1 egg. could easily sort it. But yeah, it was at this point that yeah, I was able to just like, oh yes, I can swap the boxes. This is fine. But then it was at this moment that I was just like, oh, I don't want to let that hit that, or that one hit that one. And then when that one went as well, I was just like, oh dear, probably need to resolve this one. Thankfully, when you lose a life, it restarts all of the eggs. But yeah, I was just like, how did this work? And then I just gave it to Mickey and I was just like, oh, that's how I do it. So with that, I can just quit out. Yeah, bit slow on some of these. It's because, to be fair, this is an era of gaming that is slightly before my time. And while I have played certain games like this, I mostly think about some of the games that you used to get with like a McDonald's Happy Meal. This is what that reminds me of, rather than necessarily Game & Watch stuff. And that's fine and fun, and I like that, because it is sort of a nice callback to my childhood. But then equally, I sit here listening to this and just going, ow, my ears. And I think, considering how many of them there are, it can get a little bit tedious to go through all of these. I think that probably you would, well, I don't think you were probably not intended to go about it this way. You were not intended to go about completing them this way. What they wanted you to do was obviously, like, you pick up one of the classic Kingdom games, you go back in and you then complete it. So then you're never doing all of them at once, because I think that makes this whole thing a lot more bearable. Because what you have when you do them all at once is just something that is just really, really galling on the ears. It's... ugh. Because it is harkening back to all of that entirely as it was, in their sort of slightly ridiculous levels of being a pain. But it's, for me, it is just the sound of this that really makes this a challenging thing to actually play through, because I just listen to this and get really, really annoyed, because it's going at a sort of... the sound is at a pitch that just does not sit well with my ears. Also, I am terrible at this minigame, if you hadn't have noticed. Like, actually terrible. Because basically, you can get through this really quite quickly, but I am just clearly so terrible. But I managed to get through it in the end. So it's all fine. But yeah, I have to say, sort of, this was probably one of my least favourite extras parts to record, because it did just feel like hell on my ears. And that's just not fun. So, I mean, I suppose one of the things that is probably useful to talk about, if I can get the information up, is basically how players were able to get into Kingdom Hearts 3, because it had, I think, entirely to do with Union Cross, and it had to do with these. So, at least I think it had to do with these. Or I could be entirely wrong. But I might as well talk about it now anyway. So, there are a couple of high score challenges that you had to do, and the top 500 players were able to get their names into Kingdom Hearts 3. So, the prize was a Young King Mickey B medal, which was really quite nice. And the way in which sort of you were best to maximise your score was to plan your route by focusing on enemies that you could defeat, use medals with high special attack damage multipliers, and equip score bonus medals in order to boost your scores as high as possible. The greater amount of damage that you did to enemies, the higher the score will be. So it was basically just entirely based on high score. So some of the other bits that affected it was that, I think... so as well as the 500 top players being able to get their name in, there were another 300 lucky players, I think, who were able to get their names in. So I think that's a total of 800. I could be wrong on whether that is the case or not. But hey, so basically what you need to do is you need to get as many points as possible. There was a score for total logins, so you would receive points based on your total number of logins. If you played for over 600 days, you'd get 3 points. Between 400 and 599 days, you get 2 points. From 300 to 399 days, you get 1 point. For the high score challenge, it was 1st to 10th place got 3 points, 11th to 100th got 2, and 101st to 500th got 1 point. And then the Toon Moogle medals were basically distributed as free login bonuses. If you got 3 copies, you got 3 points, 2 copies, 2 points, 1 copy, 1 point. And also you got jewels as well. What you then needed to do was submit an entry form. If you were sort of basically you have to copy paste the link in to view it into your mobile, and you were not notified if you were selected, but the submitted name would appear. And I believe that you did have to sort of make sure that you were specific on it. Also, they did determine that any names that did not fit the World of Kingdom Hearts 3 were going to be made ineligible. So if it was rude, wasn't going to make it in. Player names, maximum of 8 characters, and sort of they gave you the full list of usable characters. So there was a sort of lot of stuff there, and actually also on Union Cross there's this extra bit which is Extras, which basically has some of these classic Kingdom minigames involved in it, and that's quite nice. It's just, yeah, something that you can do. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, because obviously I have already played through all the classic Kingdom minigames here, so I don't need to do it again on mobile. I mean, they're all quite cute in terms of what they do. They do definitely replicate the feel of these old classic games very well, but yeah, they are just a thing that are here. And I don't think that they don't really shine. I think they are probably the biggest waste of time here. As you can see by the fact that I was just like, yes, I have reached 500 points. Now please kill me. I don't think that it was necessarily intentional, but equally I did just want to just sort of get to the end of this and just go, you know what, I am done. But you can probably quite easily get to some relatively high scores here, as long as you make sure that you get the vertical bullets from Minnie and the horizontal bullets from Mickey, because obviously that way you can get through some rather decent swathes of enemies, of these mosquitoes. And I mean, the game kind of does set you up to give you these things exactly when you need them. At least for the sort of opening stretch, but I don't know how long this goes on for, and honestly, I cannot be bothered. I think at this point I was just like, you know what, I'll go for 1,000, and as soon as I've hit 1,000, then I will just let this thing kill me, because I am done. So there we go, made it over 1,000, so let's just let these mosquitoes get here. Let's just put me out of my misery, please. Don't know how that one got there first, but there we go. I think one of the things that I would have liked is a little bit more consistency in it telling you when you'd gotten a high score in these things, because the fact that it doesn't tell you does just make it slightly more frustrating, because it's not always clear what counts as the game counting your score as complete. So yeah, I started off this one well, and then I just got really confused and completely forgot that I could, you know, put ketchup on the hot dogs. Don't know why. Clearly, I was just absolutely off my rocker. And was just not paying attention at all. But, I mean, I'm going to ultimately just get past this first stage, because obviously I need to in order to get my high score, but blimey heck, it was not going well for me for a bit there, because I just had no idea what the hell I was doing. But yeah, that's that, and now it's on to golf! Yay! Now, golf is one of the ones that does last a bit longer than the rest of them, because you do actually need to play a full game mode of golf. You only need to play one of the game modes, so obviously I'm going with 3, because I'm not going to be in here for any longer than I actually physically need to be, thank you. And basically all you really need to do is just sort of hit the ball and try and time it to land as close to the goal as possible. So, unlike quite a few other golf games, there's no way to get a hole-in-one in these. But you can sort of get birdies and do pretty well. It is also possible to, you know, change your angle and everything, but honestly, outside of any actual times where the hole is at an angle from you, and certainly in this initial 3-holer, there is absolutely no need to do anything that drastic. So it is quite an easy one to do, just as long as, you know, you get your timings down, because that's what you're aiming for. You've got to time your button prompts, and also avoid the bulls, because clearly they're just trying to get in your way. And yeah, it was that cow's fault that I missed that. And yeah, I'm not getting this one on. Oh no, I might get this one on par because that was shot 4. Okay, I will take it if I can get this on par. I just need to, you know, not muck it up. And I didn't. Excellent. Yeah, there's a reason that I don't really... I don't do golf. I find it quite boring, to be honest. I think the only game of golf that I have ever actually played is it Mario Superstar Baseball? I think it is. Yeah, it's Mario Superstar Baseball, which is, I want to say, different from Mario Sluggers. Keyword being want to say, because honestly I cannot remember all these Mario Sports games. Ah, okay, so yeah, so Mario Superstar Baseball came out first. Super Mario Sluggers came out on the Wii. So it was basically its sequel. It doesn't look like it necessarily did amazingly. But hey, these things happen. Now, Barnyard Sports, I believe that you have to do each of these in order to get the completion ranking. You don't have to defeat Mickey in all of these. In fact, I think in the next 2 I'm totally going to get my ass handed to me. But it's okay, because all you need to do is get a time on them and have played them. Because even though I thought I was dashing quite quickly, Mickey was just doing a lot better at this than me. I don't know what I was doing drastically wrong. But then obviously I flipped it up and then it was just a lost cause after that point. But hey, these things happen. Is it gonna... As you can see, hasn't given it me because I haven't done the triple jump yet. Which is really annoying. So yeah, you do have to do all of them in order to succeed at this. And yeah, I just sort of really didn't do well with this one either. So yeah, just don't call me up for the Barnyard Sports because I am terrible at it. Multisport, basically, you can just end up getting absolutely anything. So it just sort of cycles through them effectively. So I thought, well, I've got to do that one as well. I don't know whether I did have to do multisport or not, but it really doesn't matter because that's all the sport's done. That is fine. So Klondike Kid, this one's quite fun, I think. Basically, you begin sort of sliding through the trees, basically doing a full-on Frozen Slider moment. It's not really that difficult. You can jump over crevices, but you can't jump over trees, because, I mean, obviously that makes sense, because you sort of go right into them. But yeah, this one's not that challenging. I mean, to be fair, none of them are really that challenging. I'd say that the only ones that I truly had major trouble in terms of getting anywhere with them were the Mad Doctor, because clearly I am terrible. Carnival Kid, because I clearly just don't know how to read. Barnyard sports because I don't do sports anyway, so video game sports are generally just a no-no for me. Then there's one that we'll get to in a bit, which is Mickey's Prison Escape, because I'm just terrible at stealth. And then, there is How to Play Baseball, which I'm just rubbish at baseball. I'm rubbish at sports, as you can see. Also, I'm just letting these cats destroy everything. You don't really need to... This is one of those of just let the furniture items get destroyed, and as long as you've got at least one cat in the box, it's fine. Why anybody would give these cats, well, kittens, the tools to destroy furniture, I do not know. But clearly, someone thought that this was a very good idea and decided to sort of roll with it. And hey, if you have decided to give your felines actual physical tools to bring about your demise, then clearly that is on you. Because, cats don't like certain people at the best of times, but the second you give them a weapon, they're clearly going to plot about murdering you. So... yeah... So, with that one done, we don't have too many of these left. More than I would perhaps like, and it's going to take us a bit longer than I would perhaps like, largely because bloomin' baseball's going to take up a good bloomin' chunk of this. But it's fine, because this is sort of natural, fun. This is basically just how you play all of these. The key thing here is just sort of go for the fish. The bigger the fish, the better the score. It's a really, really easy minigame. The one that you want to get the highest score is the one right at the bottom, but honestly, it's not needed. This one, I will say, is quite fun. I can imagine the longer you play it, it can get really quite chaotic. Because basically what you're doing is just attacking tentacles. And as you can see, it seems pretty simple to begin with, but I think what it can do after a certain point is it starts burying its tentacles, and you need to wait for them to show up in order to destroy them. But it can be... this is probably a really quite dark minigame, because what happens is that if you let the octopus grab your friends, it will drag them towards it. It'll kind of wring the life out of them in its clutches, and yeah, you die when they die. So, bit dark. But yeah, basically we're just like, oh, got over 100 points. I'll just let somebody die now, because I'm ready to be kind of finished with this. Although I did think, might as well just save one person. But yeah, no, Horace, I'm sorry, you can just go drown now. Sorry, Doc. Oh, but look, he's resurrected, so it's all fine. It's just all fun and games. We're just sort of letting him drown, but not really drown. Oh, look, there goes Minnie. And Mickey. And thankfully that means that one ended nice and quickly. So that makes me happy. That one's all done. So I've just got this last row to go. Thank the Lord. So yeah, Mickey's Prison Escape. Basically Metal Gear Mickey. It's pretty okay. This particular bit is a little bit challenging because it's all about sort of, trying to dodge out the way and time it right, because you've got to hit the switch, hit the lever, before you sort of get to the end of this. But as you can see, I just ended up doing really badly with it. It's honestly not meant to be this difficult. And like the fact that I got a game over pretty much immediately on that one, it's just like, wow, I am terrible at stealth. Like, this is basically why I have never played Metal Gear Solid, because I know that I would do a very piss-poor job of it, and I would basically fail miserably. But hey, we've beaten a stage, that's really all I needed to do. I thought that I then needed to, you know, get out again. But no, I don't, and while I was just like, let's try and maybe do another round, see if I can complete round number 2, and I actually managed it! So, you know, I slightly redeemed myself with that one. It was then just like, no, that's enough of that one. There's quite a few times where I'm just like, no, I am out of here. I mean, why not? I mean, why would you want to spend any more time in the Classic Kingdom minigames than you actually need to? Because apart from the Keyblade, you get absolutely nothing out of these. So, honestly, there is absolutely no reason to sort of go for this. And, yeah, I'm honestly not quite sure how I think you just sort of get what you want and you quit out of that one. So that one's honestly not too bad. Baseball, however, can last for bloody ages. I mean, I'm looking at my time scale here. We're looking at about good 5 minutes of how to play bloody baseball. Because the way that works is, you know, you hit it, or you at least try to hit it. It is possible to sort of... Actually, no, I think it's possible for you to move slightly, but it's really a bit of a nightmare. Because sometimes he'll just throw it in a place where you're not going to be able to hit it, and it's a bit frustrating. And even if you're only doing 1 innings, that is still quite a long time, because in order to sort of finish the entire innings, you need to get 3 outs, and then you need to get Pete's team out 3 times as well. And obviously, you want to win the game. I don't know whether you can beat it by not winning or not, but obviously I was pretty certain that you probably did have to win, because I mean, that kind of stuff is quite important to this sort of stuff. And then I did the really stupid thing of pressing the button and pausing it, and then I had to start again. I was just like, what did you do, you stupid idiot? I would have probably cut that out, but hey, just thought it'd be quite funny just to look at the foolishness, the absolute foolishness that was going on in my head during recording some of these extras. But thankfully, on the plus side, it did mean that I got a home run. So, honestly, I will take that. But yes, with things like that, it's very much a case of I'm always going to try and at least show the authentic experience of playing these things, and, you know, just be honest with you and telling you what I think of these things. It's the way that I've always really gone about doing my playthroughs, and this is no different, even though I do really like Kingdom Hearts 3, and I love pretty much everything it does. There's things like this where I'm just like, nah, there was no need at all. Now, I will say, you can do very easily, well, do very quite well in pitching, because effectively what you can do is sort of try and throw straight down the middle, and then just dodge the ball out the way at the last second. Slash just throw it just slightly out of his regular reach, and Pete frequently just doesn't go for it. It was only sort of in this moment here where sort of he finally decided to wake up and actually try and get anywhere. And I was just like, don't you dare do this to me, Pete. And then I got a ball, and that was just like, you cheating blighter. It was just like, you wait until this moment to try and screw me out of a victory. I am not allowing this to happen, you cheating blighter. Thankfully, he didn't get a home run on that one, because I think that would have been potentially really quite disastrous. But hopefully, this will be the final blow, and blooming baseball is over, thank God. Yeah, damn straight I win, thank you. 2 more mini-games to go, and then we are done with Classic Kingdom. Mickey's Mechanical Man, quite fun, actually. It's basically Punch-Out, but just mashing a button. So, when the monkey's arms are down, spam away. The second it raises its fists, stop attacking. And that's basically how you win this. And yeah, as you can see, very easy win. I had such a fun time there that I just thought, you know what, I'll continue into another round-ish, and just sort of go for it, because, I mean, it's really quite easy. It's just like, hey, success, 2 rounds. I'll take that. And so, now, last but not least, Mickey steps out. So, you basically want to get to notes and get to the end. I will say, it's a fun idea. It's basically like theatrhythm. But the key thing is that you want to jump on the platforms right before the puddles. Otherwise you will land in them. Which is what took me a few tries to figure out. Because Sora basically will only travel... When he jumps, he will move over 1 panel. He will not move over 2. Even if his jump seems quite floaty and very like the rest of Kingdom Hearts, it is not the case. So, yeah, don't do what I did, and just make it to the bloody end of this thing. That's where you get your high score in this one. And once you've actually got the whole thing of what you're meant to do down pat, this thing is really quite easy. It was just sort of learning that's when you're supposed to jump, not then. But, yes, there we go. That is the end of Mickey Steps Out. It's also the end of all of the Classic Kingdom minigames. We've gotten a high score on every single one of them, and that means that we get a Keyblade, which is... Come on, there it is, the classic tone. See you in the next extras part. Woo!